Chosen ones, one of the strangest parts of becoming more aware is that you do not always feel more connected, you often feel more alone. And that can be deeply confusing because you thought clarity would bring peace, not distance. But for many of you, the loneliness did not begin when people left. It began when their betrayal opened your eyes. Something in you changed after that. Not just your feelings, your sight. What used to feel normal now feels heavy. What used to feel harmless now feels performative. What used to feel like closeness now feels like access without safety. So now you can sit in the same room, hear the same voices, live around the same people, and still feel like something no longer fits. Not because you became cold, not because you became arrogant, not because you are suddenly too difficult to love, but because awareness made it harder to stay emotionally asleep inside patterns that were quietly feeding on your confusion. And that grief is real, because you are not only grieving people, you are grieving the version of reality that helped you feel connected to them. This is not about spiritual superiority. This is about painful awakening. This is about finally seeing what you once survived by not fully seeing. So if awareness is supposed to set you free, why does it first make your world feel smaller, quieter, and harder to belong in? Before we go deeper, let me say this. You are not the only one feeling it. If this already feels uncomfortably familiar, stay with me. And if this channel speaks to the part of you that has been waking up alone, like the video, subscribe, and share it with another chosen one. Let this be one place where your inner shift is recognized, because the first loneliness begins within. Number 1, when your inner world stops matching your outer life. And this is usually where the loneliness really begins. Not out there first, but inside your own life. You can still be in the same house, around the same people, following the same routine, and yet something in you knows it does not feel the same anymore. Nothing dramatic may have happened that day. No one may have said anything obviously wrong. But small moments start landing differently. Certain conversations feel heavier than they used to. Certain jokes feel forced. Certain energies that you once brushed past now leave your body tired. That is confusing, because on the outside your life may look almost unchanged, but on the inside, your awareness is no longer agreeing with what your environment has been asking you to normalize. You start noticing how often you shrink to keep things smooth. How often you explain too much so other people stay comfortable. How often you swallow your real reaction and call it maturity. How often you keep the peace at the cost of your own nervous system. And once you see that, it becomes very hard to unsee. Why did normal suddenly start feeling false? That question sits in a lot of chosen ones more deeply than they admit. And this is an important nuance. It does not always mean every relationship around you is fake, and it does not mean every discomfort is some grand spiritual sign. Sometimes growing awareness simply reveals emotional habits, buried grief, or long ignored stress that you were too busy surviving to name. But even that kind of seeing can change your whole inner experience. Because awareness is not just seeing other people more clearly, it is seeing the distance between who you are becoming and what your current life was built to hold. And that distance can feel deeply lonely before it ever feels freeing. So, if familiar people are starting to drain you faster than strangers, there may be a reason. And once your inner life stops agreeing with the old script, the next pain is realizing some bonds only worked when you could not fully see them. Number 2, the betrayal did not only wound you, it rewired your perception. This is where the loneliness becomes sharper, because betrayal does not just leave pain behind. It changes the way you see. After someone breaks your trust, you are not only grieving the person, you are grieving the version of you that could still relax inside the connection. You miss the innocence that let you believe without checking every detail. You miss the old inner softness that did not feel the need to scan every word, every inconsistency, every strange shift in energy. Now your mind goes back. You replay conversations. You revisit certain looks, certain silences, certain moments you brushed past because you wanted peace more than truth. You remember the red flags you explained away. You remember the feeling in your body when something was off and how you stayed open anyway. That is why this kind of loneliness can feel so deep. It is not just about losing someone, it is about losing your old reality. Some betrayals do not just break your heart, they break the story you were living inside. That is why what once felt like closeness can now look more like access. What once felt like loyalty can start to look like convenience. What once felt like love can begin to reveal itself as dependence on your silence, your patience, your emotional availability. Betrayal can become an awakening event, not because pain is holy, but because pain can expose what comfort kept hidden. There is also an important nuance here. Betrayal can activate hypervigilance. It can make your nervous system read danger faster than before. So not every discomfort is wisdom, and not every suspicion is intuition. Part of healing is learning the difference between clear pattern recognition and fear projecting itself onto everything. But even with that nuance, something irreversible often happens. Your eyes open, you start seeing patterns you once softened just to stay connected. And then a harder question begins to rise. What if the deepest shock is not only what they did to you, but what you kept doing to yourself in order to remain loved? Because after your eyes open to what others were doing, the next awakening is seeing what you had to abandon in yourself just to stay close. Number 3. The loneliest part is often realizing how much of yourself you edited away. This is where the pain turns inward, because after betrayal helps you see other people more clearly, another truth starts rising, and it can feel even harder to sit with. You begin to see how often you abandoned yourself just to stay connected. You remember the moments you swallowed your instincts, the times you felt mixed energy and called it confusion instead of warning, the conversations where you accepted crumbs and told yourself not to ask for more, the parts of your personality you softened, reduced, or hid because being fully honest felt too risky. And that realization can be devastating because it means some of your old belonging was not built on being deeply known. It was built on being easier to keep. What if your loneliness is not proof that you lost people, but proof that you stopped losing yourself? That is why this stage can feel so brutally quiet, even if no one new has actually left. Something inside you knows that a lot of your closeness came from self-reduction. You were present, but not fully. You were included, but not truly met, and there is a real grief in that. Because being accepted is not the same as being seen. You can sit in a room full of people and still feel unseen at the deepest level when your real self had to stay edited for the relationship to feel stable. There is also an important nuance here. This is not the moment to shame yourself for what you tolerated. Many people learn these adaptations early. They become agreeable, smaller, more emotionally convenient, because at some point that helped them stay attached, safe, or less overwhelmed. So compassion matters here. Shame will only turn the old survival pattern into a new identity. But once you stop disappearing inside relationships, something changes. Some rooms feel colder, some people seem less comfortable, some bonds begin to strain. Because some relationships do not collapse when you change, they collapse when you stop making self-abandonment look like love. And that is where awareness becomes socially visible, because the moment you stop making others comfortable with your self-abandonment, the relationship field begins to shift. If this is touching a part of you that usually stays hidden, take a breath here. And if this channel feels like a place that understands that silence, like the video, subscribe, and share it with another chosen one. Sometimes one honest message can make a lonely season feel survivable. Now, the outer fallout begins. Number 4. Why some people feel farther away the moment you become clearer. This is the part many chosen ones do not expect. Once you stop editing yourself inside relationships, the distance is no longer only internal, it starts showing up around you. Some people do not leave your life in obvious ways. They just begin to feel farther away. Conversations that once felt easy now feel thin. Your humor does not land the same. Your silence starts making people uneasy. Even simple interactions can begin to feel strangely strained, like the connection is still there on the surface, but something underneath it no longer holds. You may have felt this without knowing how to name it. People who once seemed very comfortable with you now seem unsettled by you, and not because you became cruel, cold, or difficult. Sometimes it is because you became clearer, you stopped over-explaining, you stopped chasing emotional reciprocity, you stopped collapsing your boundaries just to keep the atmosphere smooth. And that changes the signal you send. Some people only felt close to the version of you that stayed easy to read. That line carries more truth than many people want to admit. Because awareness does not only change what you see in others, it changes what others can access in you. When you stop confusing access with intimacy, when you stop offering your softness without discernment, certain relationships begin to reveal what they were actually built on. Some were rooted in mutual truth. Others were quietly resting on your emotional availability, your patience, your silence, your willingness to keep translating yourself until everyone else stayed comfortable. There is an important nuance here. Not every distance means jealousy, bad intent, or hidden malice. Sometimes people are simply meeting a version of you they do not know how to relate to. They may be confronting their own limits, not attacking your growth. But even that can still feel lonely. Why does clarity make certain relationships feel strangely unsustainable? Because clarity removes the old emotional glue. It exposes what was connection and what was only familiarity. And once the old bonds lose that glue, a more frightening question begins to rise: whether awareness has made real love feel harder to find. Number 5. Why awareness can make love feel rarer before it makes it real. This is the part that can feel the heaviest, because after enough disappointment, distance, and inner change, a fear starts forming that you may not say out loud. Maybe awareness has made love harder to find. Maybe seeing more clearly has made connection too rare, too complicated, too fragile to trust. You may have felt that already. You trust more slowly now. You listen more carefully. You are less moved by words alone. You notice inconsistencies faster. You feel the difference between chemistry and safety more quickly than you used to. And because of that, your world can start to feel smaller. Not because love has disappeared, but because fewer things feel honest enough to call love. That can be deeply discouraging in a culture that rewards speed, surface, performance, and constant availability. Your standards can start to feel heavy, even to you. You may wonder whether your clarity has made you too guarded, too serious, too hard to reach. What if this lonely season is not rejection, but recalibration? That is the deeper question underneath the pain. Because awareness does not always reduce love. Very often, it filters illusion. It removes what looked like intimacy but was built on fantasy, urgency, projection, or your willingness to overlook what your body was quietly trying to tell you. That filtering process feels like loss before it feels like protection. It feels like emptiness before it becomes refinement. There is an important nuance here. Discernment is not the same as armored withdrawal. If your awareness turns into chronic avoidance, emotional rigidity, or isolation as identity, then healing may not need more spiritual language. It may need support, grief work, honest reflection, and safe human connection. Grounded growth still needs relationship. So yes, awareness can make love feel rarer for a while, but rarer does not mean gone. It may simply mean that performance is losing its power over you. And if that is true, then this season is not just removing what was false. It is preparing you to learn how to live with yourself when the noise is gone. Number 6. The real work is learning how to live awake without living guarded. This is where the work begins to change. Because after all the noticing, all the pattern recognition, all the painful clarity, the next step is not to become even more watchful. It is to become more honest in how you live. Many chosen ones reach this point and realize something difficult. You may have become very skilled at seeing what is off in people, in rooms, in energy, in yourself, but you may still not feel safe in your own stillness. You may understand your pain clearly in your mind and still carry it in your body like you are waiting for the next emotional hit. That is what makes this season so exhausting. You are not only healing from what happened, you are also learning how to stop living braced against what might happen next. True awareness is not constant scanning. It is the slow return of self-trust. It is being able to notice without spiraling. It is being able to feel without drowning. It is being able to discern without becoming hard. That is a very different kind of strength. You do not heal by becoming untouchable. That is one of the quiet truths many people miss. There is also a grounded nuance here. Healing does not always look mystical. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like grief. Sometimes it looks like honest conversations, healthier boundaries, therapy, solitude, prayer, community, or finally letting your nervous system experience safety without suspicion. You do not need to turn your awakening into a performance of strength. You do not need to become unreachable in order to become protected. Awareness is not fulfilled when you see more. It is fulfilled when you can live more truthfully. What if the next level is not better perception, but safer presence inside your own life? Because once you stop treating awareness like a wound you have to guard, this lonely season begins to change meaning. It may not be empty at all. It may be making room for a more honest kind of belonging. Number 7. This lonely season is not your punishment. This is the part I want you to hold carefully. You are not being punished because you became more aware. You are not being isolated because you failed. You are standing in a painful space between what once included you and what will one day truly meet you. That space can feel unbearably quiet. But quiet is not always abandonment. Sometimes quiet is the first place where your real self can finally be heard. Their betrayal opened your eyes, yes, but the deeper story is not only that someone hurt you, it is that your awareness is now refusing to let you call survival love. It is refusing to let you call access intimacy. It is refusing to let you call self-abandonment connection. That is why this season feels so sharp. Once you see clearly, you cannot return to the comfort of confusion. That does not mean you are doomed to loneliness. It means your life is being asked to rebuild itself around truth instead of fear. That is a different kind of belonging, and it often begins in silence before it becomes visible. So yes, the loneliness is real. Let it be real. But do not mistake it for the end of your story. It may be the bridge between your old emotional world and a more honest life. You are not too much to be loved. You are simply no longer willing to be loved in ways that require you to disappear. So before we close, let this become something shared, not carried alone. If this gave language to a season you have been carrying in silence, subscribe, like this video, and share it with another chosen one who is waking up through heartbreak, betrayal, or deep inner change. Let this channel be a place where awareness becomes clarity, and clarity becomes healing. You are not alone in this becoming.